Hey Boo Cakes, it's your favorite girl, April Watts. Welcome to episode 3, 1, 2, 3 of Ego. That stands for Everybody's Got One. It's a show about opinions. And of course, these opinions are unfiltered. I've got mine, you've got yours, you've got some little feedback, but that's okay. This is live. We're going to keep on rolling. That's what we do. Before we get started, I want to remind you that you can definitely call in. The show is interactive. Leave your comments, but you can also call us at 410-833. Is it 833 or 822? 822. There we go. 410-822-FREE. I always pull up the phone number. 410-822-FREE. Digitally, that is 410-833-3733. You got it? Okay, good. We have some very, very amazing guests with us today. Joining me, we have a philanthropist, and he is an amazing cake artist. He did my birthday cake.
Yes.
Tavares Evans. How are you, T?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
All right, happy to have you. You have so much going on. Tell everybody what you do.
I service the DMV area with custom cakes, and I also run a philanthropy nonprofit organization in Baltimore City where I help inner city and at-risk youth.
All righty. Now, here's my sister friend right here.
Oh, you know.
This is my
I know you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit, little something.
Little something.
I love me some Erica Kane. She is my radio sister. She is my sister.
Yes.
She is an amazing voiceover actress,
thank you. Model,
just all around creative author. What don't you do is the question.
What it is, I'm trying to keep up with April Watts, and that keeps me alive. So I keep going and I keep going. If I'm not reading your favorite, book online, check out your favorite audiobooks and all that stuff. I'm just trying to keep up with April. That's my job. That's it.
And last but certainly not least, a man that has a lot of letters behind his name, we have Mr. Beshea Williams. And he is going to be approaching our interesting topic from a professional standpoint. He is a therapist. And tell us all the letters. Tell us what the letters mean.
So I'm Paul Beshea Williams, licensed clinical social worker in the DMV. I service Maryland and DC and Virginia in mental health therapy. I'm the CEO and owner of Hearts and Mind Counseling, and also the author of Dear Future Wife, A Man's Guide and a Woman's Reference to Healthy Relationships. And I speak across the world on mental health when it deals with the Black community, vulnerable youth, vulnerable men, all that good stuff. And I love everything about relationships, so I'm happy to be here.
He is the expert,
yes.
Okay? Do not get it twisted. So today's topic started from a social media conversation. If anybody follows me on social media, you know I always get it popping. I'm always talking about something. I tell you how I feel. I don't sugarcoat it.
Right.
So I want to use this example as a springboard for a larger conversation. There was a social media post about a social media influencer who does something called Tall Guy Car Reviews, and he is an ex-convict who was with a woman for 8 years.
Right.
She basically supported him and financed him. When he got out of jail, he had no income, he had no job, he had no, I'm not gonna say he was homeless, but he was looking to transition back into the world.
Right.
And she helped make that transition possible. And when he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life, and he figured that he wanted to do something like be a social media influencer, that's something that's a little bit risky. So she basically financed his first car. He wanted to do car reviews. You gotta have a car if you want to do car reviews or you want to be this expert. She bought his first car, which basically built his social media empire. Again, they have been together for 8 years. And during the course of this 8 years, she expressed that she wanted to be married. And he said that he did not subscribe to the concept of marriage. He even made videos about it, said that it's just a piece of paper, what have you. So one of his dreams was to relocate to the West Coast of California.
Right.
And when he got to a certain level in his career, he decided that he wanted to move to California. He wanted her to move with him, but she wasn't married, and marriage is something that she wanted to have.
Yes.
And so she decided that she was not going to go to California with him. They broke up. He went to California. The same month that they broke up, he met someone new, and months later his philosophy changed because he proposed to her.
Yes.
They're engaged and they are about to walk down the aisle.
Yes.
So I really don't want to dig too deeply into his personal situation, but I want to use that situation because that situation is not unique.
Yeah.
And so I want to use that situation as a springboard for a larger conversation. And my larger question, I'm just going to keep it a buck, okay? On
Yeah.
social media, I was like, this is why I will not build a man up from
Yeah.
scratch. So I'm coming from the perspective of a woman, but just to be equal and just to keep everything even keel, I do want to say, is building a person up from scratch overrated?
Right. Just to jump in for the ladies, for this particular guy right here, I don't know if it, what is it about the light skin bays? Because haven't we been here before? Didn't we do this with Jail Bay before? Wasn't he
Prison
tall,
Bay,
light skin, prison
definitely.
Bay?
Yes.
Tall, light skin, had the girl take care of him, ended up leaving her, getting with another one. She took care of him after he got out of jail. I don't know what it is,
Is the
but
light skin bays?
it's something about the light skin bays, the locked up light skin bays.
The locked up light
They
skin bays.
got that pen game on lock. I don't know what it is, but ladies, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I just feel like as a woman, especially if you're going to be involved in a situation like that, there's some rules and stipulations.
Okay.
That you have to be willing to abide by. You have to understand that we're all humans, and your years and years of sacrifice doesn't make someone non-human. So you can't have these above human expectations. It doesn't lock in their loyalty to you forever. They're still human. People still get bored. People still change. People still meet new people. So your years and years and years of sacrifice still doesn't change someone into this perfect person. But you're expecting perfection because you done held it down.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And brought them from the bottom.
All right.
And that's just
Water
one
from the bottom.
Yeah.
Water from the bottom.
That's one rule, you know?
I think the problem is the rules. That's the problem.
Hey.
So by coming there with rules, what was her foundation on that relationship? We talk about just people in general. Like, what are you building your foundation on with somebody else? If your foundation is tied to the end and you're missing every single conversation you should be having during that, and that man, he was telling her that he wasn't about that. And she still believed in that outcome without seeing where he was right then and there.
That happens.
And so now we're at the end of the road and you're like, I want to move, I want to get married. But he's been saying it like social media. Like, we say the messages, men tell you it's whether you choose to believe it or not. Whether you believe what the man is saying or you believe in what you want from that man.
Yeah, for that particular situation, I mean, that's not always the case. Sometimes a guy can tell you exactly what you want to hear. You know,
Yeah.
he can tell you everything, and we're all on the same page and in the same boat. But you have to know that he's still a man and he's still human.
And I do feel that there is some dishonesty there. For the simple fact that he said that he does not subscribe to the concept of marriage. Bruh, like, it'd be different if you changed your mind 5 years later, or you change your mind 4 years, even 3 years later, but you met someone a month after you broke up, and in a matter of months, you proposed to that person. It
Yes.
had not even been
Can
a
I
year,
chime
so
in?
I personally don't think that he was being fully honest. I think that he believed in the concept of marriage, he just didn't want to give it to her.
Right, Brother T has something to say though.
Come on.
I'm just kind of curious about a number of things because one, was this discussed in the very beginning of the relationship? Was marriage, for togetherness, for forever? Was it discussed? And another thing, there's a difference between supporting someone and investing in them. It almost sounded like that she, that she felt like she was investing in him. Like, I see potential in this guy, so I'm gonna, pump and pour into him. It can go both ways. I will say that, but I just feel like, was marriage discussed from the beginning? I mean,
And that kinda is a conversation that people need to have in the beginning.
From the beginning, but I mean, that many years in, you're surprised that he's not subscribing to marriage? You're shocked? That many years in?
Yeah, we need more like details. We need to know, was he sudden with this? Or was this off? You know what I mean? From the beginning?
If you think about, like, when I say go back to the foundation, you think about where he's coming from. He's locked up, right? He's
Yeah.
coming out of jail. So right now he's in survival mode. So I need a place to live. I
Very-
need to build myself up. So that's my
Exactly.
focus. I'm not looking towards the building this relationship and get married. I'm just
Absolutely.
looking to get my feet on solid ground. And while this person is pouring into me, I'm telling you what I want from you.
Yeah.
I don't want a marriage. I want you to do what you said you're going to do for me.
Right.
So again, the honesty was there. So he didn't want it, like you said, he didn't want it from her. And so right now, I just need these specific things. So now I'm built up, I'm walking away, and now I have the opportunity to receive other things. Because what I was initially looking for, that way out, you gave me. And now I'm open to love.
Right.
So a lot of times when they tell men, we're not taught to love. We're taught to like build and like, don't get married until you have your house. Don't get married until you have your car. Don't get married until you have your job. And so we have this deficiency in love and connection and relationship with a woman and that we're not built like that. So we have to really exercise that. And it wasn't until he was free and he had all this idea of I got everything settled, now I can look at a woman and say, okay, I'm ready for a next level of relationship.
Which leads me to my next point, but I do want to say, once again, you are free to call. The number to call is 410-822-FREE, 410-822-FREE. And the topic that we are exploring today is building someone up from scratch, okay, from the ground up. Overrated. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about partnership or just having your partner's back. We're talking about someone coming to you with nothing, someone coming to you with their trash bags and their hopes and their dreams, okay? And that's all they got for you.
Yes.
They got that and they got some love, possibly.
Yes.
That is all. But I do want to kind of like piggyback off of what you were saying and ask the question, are men and women wired differently? And do we seek different things out of relationships? And does it take something different to make us love and be loyal to a person? And the reason that I say that is because I have a theory. My theory is that I will never build a man up from scratch, because it is my theory that the person who builds him up from scratch will never be his forever love. And of course we're speaking on average, we're generalizing because we are intelligent people and we understand that that doesn't mean every single person is wired that way, or every single man or every single woman. But I believe that the average man needs to be looked at a certain way by his wife. He wants to be, or he needs to be, that provider. He needs to be the hero. He needs to be that strong person, that protector. So even if you care about this woman who has built you from nothing to something, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something in that manhood, in the way that men are wired or the way that men are socialized, okay? That prevents him from being able to love her fully, because she reminds him of when he was low.
And that brings me back to the rules, because that I know you're not a fan of, but these rules aren't specifically rules to have like with the other person. These are rules that you even have with yourself. If you agree with yourself that you're coming into a situation like this, you know what the deal is. So you come into this situation and you have a man that you're going to take care of, and the first
The thought of that just makes my stomach.
The thought of it, right? Yes. And that's the thing. The thought of it is really a problem for most people. And a lot of women, but there's some women that are really ready to jump in there and take care of a man, or so they think, or so they say, until something goes wrong. And then she jumps in there and she's like, when I met you, you couldn't tie your shoes. Now you flexing? Oh, remember when you needed that cosign, or when you had that 420 credit score, but now you flexing? And see, that's the thing. I think a man does want somebody to look at him in a certain way. And when you have someone that's constantly reminding you of your failure, or constantly reminding you of where you came from, or constantly reminding you of their struggle, it's not as nice as waking up to something. Because look, when you dress this man and clean him up real nice, then what does he do? He goes out in the world and he meets new people.
Yes, he
who
does.
have a different perception of him than you do.
I'm not
because you built him up from the bottom. So now he's going out and meeting people who are seeing him like, okay, my man's fly, he's on, I like him, he's okay. And see, this woman's looking at him with a brand new perspective, because he is new.
With a new set
to
of eyes.
her, with a new set of eyes.
Yes.
And so she makes him feel a new way. She makes him feel like the future, like the man he wants to be. Whereas you still have your wife that's ready to bring up what she did for you.
Also, what you just described is that if a woman has done all that and she's building him from scratch, this man isn't dating a woman, he's dating a mom.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's the topic.
You're dating your mom. Your mom is raising you from ground zero. That's not your lady, that's your mom.
But how many men go through that process where they go straight from depending on mom and straight to that
woman.
Dependable girlfriend that'll get them through
the baby boy,
there you go.
The Jody syndrome. But again, if a man is stepping into that, this woman has to know, if I'm building you from ground zero, she doesn't see it from the get-go, but like, you're his mom, you're raising him.
I don't disagree.
And sometimes I think even if the woman isn't the type to throw something in a man's face, I think just because of, and I hate to keep using this word because it sounds so cliche, but because of patriarchy and because of how men are socialized, there's something in the ego that just makes him resent her. Like, even though he appreciates the help, even though he appreciates that strong foundation, he resents her for being able to provide that at the same time. As soon as he's ready to fly out of the nest, he's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
I think resentment comes in with the reminder, as you said. So if you remind me of the times that I failed when I'm trying to be successful, then why would I stay attached to that? So if you're helping me, like I can receive that. Like I'll say that my wife helped me grow to another level. I already had my foundation. I was already confident in myself. But there was times where I really struggled. But whenever I do, I was able to acknowledge her for what she did.
And she still respected you as a
Right.
king.
And my ego didn't allow me to, or didn't stop me from doing that.
Right.
So we celebrated the small wins. I acknowledged her through that process. And sometimes men can't do that because if I show you that, that means you got the power over me.
Yeah.
But I can show you that you've helped me and still be the man that I am.
But see, to me, that's the difference between a man that is emotionally mature versus one that is emotionally immature.
Right.
And unfortunately, and I do have to just give this prelude, this disclaimer, I love men, but I also speak truth. What I have found is because of how society socializes men, a lot of men, to no fault of their own, because of how they were raised, because of how their friends are, because how their college mates,
Right.
because of how the world is, most men are emotionally immature. So being able to admit that, or being able to understand your wife's strengths,
Yeah.
you know, is viewed as weakness by the average man because they don't understand the difference between dominance and manhood. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Can I shoot this into the therapist, man? Is that do you see a disconnect with men who don't know how to attach to a woman because of an absentee father? Like not being groomed to be a man, trying to love. Like the reason I ask that is because I'm a product of being adopted. And my father stepped in when I was, a few years old and raised me to be the man that I am today. But he taught me all the things, responsibility, how to respect women, how to treat women, just how to be a man, period. But I think a lot of men, if the absentee father is not there or just no parental father figure at all, they get lost. They're not shown how to, they have no figure or no example on how to love a woman or how to treat a woman. I mean, is that...
Well, in therapy, there's no absolutes. So I've seen both sides. I've seen men who struggle with that because they don't have the example. But some men who don't have examples, they find examples outside of themselves, outside of their family. Or they get so fixated on the goal of having or being what they didn't have.
Right.
Now they're overexerting themselves in that position.
Right.
But that does happen a lot. And so being able to connect with the emotion, again, we're taught two emotions, rage and passion. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't be sad. You can't connect. And now if I'm taught to grow up like that, how can I value when a woman feels a certain way?
right.
So if I hurt her, I can't even connect to the value because I never taught what that meant.
Right.
But yeah, it does happen, but it's again, there's no absolutes, but that definitely plays a part in it.
Yeah.
are there levels to the amount of support you should give a person based on relationship status? Like, okay, maybe if she was already married to him because that's what she desired. Maybe if they were married and she provided him all of these things, it would be looked at differently because she had already gotten what she wanted, or she was the wife. So as the wife, you can be all in, versus as the girlfriend who has marriage as a goal and is not getting that, and you're still providing all of these things. So what do you think? Like, would you build your husband from scratch versus being just the girlfriend, or being someone who is attracted to this person and looking for more, building him up from scratch? Are there levels to this?
I think there's levels to this, but I also think that it comes with a part of maturity. And when the things you did at 20, 24, 25, you're not going to do it 30, 34.
So it's an age thing as well.
I believe it's an age thing, and I'm real big on giving people passes up until 35. So if a person is doing, I got a lot of fellas or friends of mine who are doing things that we did at 19, 20, and like, I can't even be around you right now.
Right.
In the way they treat women and stuff like that. And women as well too, who, if they want to be out there, living a lecherous and lascivious life and just out there just living reckless. I'm not one to judge, but there's certain environments and certain things that wouldn't be conducive in my life I just can't be around. And that's male and female, but I'm real keen on just, when you grow at a certain age,
Yeah.
You know when you're talking to a 40-year-old man, like, this dude is still
Like,
talking
why you
about,
still talking about that?
and you're trying to build on your rap empire, or you this and that is, I gotta walk away. That's just me. That's just me. So,
I mean, I think divorce sucks. Divorce sucks more than breaking up. So, I mean, honestly, it really depends on the maturity of the couple, because a band or a marriage license doesn't make the situation any better. It doesn't mean you're playing yourself any less. You know what I mean? Brings you to another rule that you have to have.
EK's rules.
And getting into these situations, and really, like marriage, just like co-parenting, sometimes you have to look at it as like a business. You know what I mean? Especially if there's investments being made, and I know it's a love thing. Because he was like, yeah, when I said that. But especially if you're in a situation where you're having doubts, and especially if you're in a situation where you're funding someone.
Anytime you're funding, that's business.
That's business.
I don't care.
Okay.
And there's Heart April and there's Business April, and they're two different people.
And when you're supporting someone from the bottom up, from scratch, or you're funding someone, I just think that I'm too much of a business-minded person to even go into a situation like that, even though it's relationship-based, and not think that way.
Like, bruh, we gonna have some papers.
And
I'm gonna have some ownership in this situation.
You know, or just some, even if it's not papers, just personal boundaries for yourself. You have to know, like, how far are you willing to go?
Yes.
How far can you go before you're playing yourself?
Yeah.
Can I ask both of y'all a question? When you say like funding, let's just say man is looking to, spark up the business. He was like, yo, can I just hold this for a minute, and when I get it, I'll hit it, get it back to you.
That's different.
I'm not talking about like continuously like saying, can I hold?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
but,
what, yeah.
But if a man is just like, looking for the support of something like whatever his dream is, whether
Right.
it's, looking to write a book or start a business. I mean, what do y'all draw the line at?
I mean, for me, see, we're talking about building someone from scratch. So sitting down and discussing a business opportunity with my business-minded man is a little bit different to me than someone that I know doesn't have it together, and I'm looking at this person like, I'm gonna have to help you get your whole life. You don't know,
Yeah.
you don't know what TransUnion? Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to help you get this whole thing together.
Yeah.
And
I get
that's
it.
like sponsoring, funding someone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that
And
to
if I'm a
me,
sponsor, I'm gonna need to recoup on my investment. I'm sorry. Like,
okay.
I can love you because I've seen business mess up love because people are doing business from the heart, and then when business gets real and money starts to get made, problems arise because people didn't take the precautions in the beginning.
absolutely.
I mean, that's just how I see it.
I mean, people are signing off on living agreements now. These are just the types of things that you have to do. Back to reality TV, marriage boot camp. Okay, your girl Hazel E.
Oh Lord.
They had the lie test detector thing, and she wanted to know, was her man with her for clout? Are you just here because I'm famous, or are you just here for the ride? He failed the test.
So what did she do after that?
She still did not leave him.
Oh, I'd have been
Because she
I'd have been
loved
out.
him. She was pregnant. They just lost a baby. She wanted to have this baby. What she did, though, instead of coming with a ring at the end of the show, she presented him with a management contract.
So she's gonna manage him.
It's a contract that basically says, it's cool, be my man, love me, but if you cheat, if you mess up, your ass is done, and I'm gonna be getting paid off you for a long time. So now, to each his own, and everybody, but you know what?
Yeah.
He was willing to do it, and he signed it without hesitation. Whatever you want, I just want to be with you.
But he wants to be with her for clout, so they have a business arrangement.
But she feels
That ain't
like,
love.
but in her mind, she feels like, listen, but at the end of the day, I like you, you turn me on, you make me happy, I want to be a wife, I want to have a family, I
It's
want to
an
do this with you.
arrangement.
And so it's an arrangement. And if it doesn't work out, at least I'll
Here
be
is
getting
the-
paid off the back end, and I won't feel like I played myself.
They have clarity.
Yeah.
So everybody is different, whatever works.
It's an honest conversation.
Yeah, they were clear on what they were investing in, and that's what it is. Like you're
Yeah.
talking about investing in somebody. What am I investing in? Am I investing in you? Am I investing in the marriage? Am I investing into the relationship? Because the relationship is at the top, and what am I giving to it? If I'm giving something else to it, so I know what that relationship is. So, like you said, I want the return on what I'm investing in.
Right. Yeah.
At this time, I do want to take a break. I want to talk about our sponsors. I want to say thank you so very much to Safari Nightclub and the Baltimore Comedy Factory. They are like really taking care of us. They have had my back through this entire situation, and they are the location of ego. So thank you so very much to Safari, and let's run that commercial. again, don't forget Safari Nightclub and the Baltimore Comedy Factory when the world opens back up, because there have been businesses that, of course, everybody is struggling from COVID, but there have been businesses that just shut down and took care of what they needed to take care of. And then there are businesses that are helping individuals, that are helping the community and just reaching out. So I'm not saying to diss anybody else, but when the world opens back up, please remember those that made the community and individuals a priority. And the Baltimore Comedy Factory and Safari Nightclub are two companies that did so. If you are looking at my wrist candy and you're like, dang, that's fly, you're wondering what it is and where I got it, it is my stuff. It's BCN Apparel. This is the royalty set. It comes in black, which I am wearing, and it also comes in gold. You can get it online at bcnapparel.com. That's bcnapparel.com, and we also have some amazing, amazing apparel. So go there, check it out. Now back to the conversation, if you're just tuning in. We are talking about whether it's overrated to build a person up from scratch in a romantic relationship. And I have Tavares Evans, I have Kane, and I have therapist Beshea Williams. And you guys have been giving some amazing feedback. So now it's time for me to get all in your business. I like to do that, right?
Come with it.
Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever either built someone up from scratch or been that person that was built up from scratch, and how did it work out?
Never been built up from scratch, but what I've been accused of is that,
Bam!
me and E Kane go way back to 2009, 2010, and I was in a relationship where I ran a business with my partner, and we built together. So
Fantastic business, by the way.
What was the business? I'm nosy.
Cakes to a T. It's the same thing. I took the
Cakes to a
name
T,
and
yes.
everything else.
Oh, hell.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna dig into that. I took that because I've been doing
You the
cake.
cake maker.
The cake man. Been doing this since I was 18. And so when we decided to separate, took the name, took the business, and kept pressing forward. She decided to go and do her own thing. Wish her the best, and I'm not going to sit up here and talk bad about her. Great business partner, great person. It just didn't work out between us. Mm-hmm. But what I will say
was it the business that kind of
because once
kept things from working out romantically?
I'm gonna be truthful in this matter.
Yeah, be honest.
I was more in love with the professional relationship than I was with the personal relationship.
Okay.
So that's my biggest fault. But what I will say is once I branched out and started doing philanthropy work throughout Baltimore, is when I realized I was growing, and in my opinion, she became stagnant.
Okay.
So with that being said, once I left and she went her way, I went my way. Oh, she was by his side when he built this and built that, and yeah, she was, and I was the same for her. Right. And everything that she's doing right now in her personal, professional life is because of me, whether it's philanthropy or the cake business. I'm not gonna sit up here and throw darts. I'm just keeping it a buck.
Right.
But when a person sits back and questions like, well, Dag, he was with that girl for 10 years, didn't put a ring on it, and I moved on, and now everyone knows cake business is still flourishing, found someone else, have a baby or whatever, and it's like,
hey, Danny. I was giving a women
and anyone who knows me is like, I'm loyal, I'm with you, but I just felt like at that time, we had outgrown each other in certain ways.
Okay.
And
people grow apart.
And you figure like, damn, it's 10 years, but I found my everything with Danny. And and a lot of people don't realize is that I'm very transparent. And this is what you might have missed.
Extremely.
This is what you might have missed is after we broke up, I broke up on Christmas Day with that girl.
Now come on.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
I turned around. I turned around on New Year's Day and was like, I told the world, I said, listen, I'm gonna be abstinent. I'm gonna wait for God to bring me who He wants me to have.
I feel like I
Can
remember
I do
that
this
post.
real quick? I appreciate you.
Listen, no, I'm being.
Yeah.
I said so. But this is the craziest part. So me being so out there and just tangible. I had female customers like, hey, T, you want to go out for a date or a date? I'm like, no, I'm cool. Well, man, your cakes ain't all that anyway. Like, I lost customers because they felt rejected. Wow. It wasn't a rejection. I was like, I'm waiting for God to send me that one. And I sat back for a whole year, no sex, no dates, no nothing. And it's you get in that dark place when you by yourself all the time. I only left the house to get cake stuff and for cake deliveries. And
You were cleansing. You were just
Oh yeah, it was definitely a cleanse. And so when I finally found it, it was like, oh, he chose her, and the hatred can just it spawns so many other things. I'm not mad,
Right.
because where I'm at right now is where I always wanted to be, and it's the place that I asked God to send me. So, but again, getting back to the point is that when people are like, oh, you know, that no one taught me anything. I'm self-taught. I've been doing this since I was 18. She jumped on 15 years later, and I taught her the game. So when people be like, oh, so I'm looking right in the camera right now. Right now.
Because
my words, and anyone can challenge me. I can do everything in the cake world. I'm internationally known. I teach across the globe, from Ethiopia to Nigeria, Singapore, China, Korea, you name it. My students are everywhere. I do this. I do this. I've been doing this. I take my. I'm very lighthearted. I can play around. What I don't play around is I don't play around with God, my family, or what I do for a business.
So my cake. I don't think anybody ever questioned the cake making though. Look,
I don't think so either.
Over here,
No. Let me come back, because now I'm in a zone. When me and Danny first started dating, they was like, oh girl, he don't even make them cakes. Pause. You see that awkward silence?
Yes.
He doesn't make those cakes.
Everybody knows you make your cakes. Everybody knows you make your
Y'all can continue.
For the record, I had his former lady and former business partner on my podcast.
Oh the drama. I'm gonna need to run that one back. I'm gonna go home tonight and see that podcast.
I had her on my podcast, and so like awkward position. Now I'm here in this podcast and hearing both sides of the story. But one thing that I think I can agree upon, and you know, I know you, so I already know you. I know your heart. I know where you come from, and we know you make cakes.
Yes, we do.
You know, but I think for you, like you said, your journey is genuine, and the love that you have is real now, and you're about to have a child, and at the end of the day, I think everybody's just happy where they are. You know what I mean?
You waited a whole year.
So you waited a whole year. You moved on. You're flourishing.
But to be out there, and my grandmother even questioned, was like, T, you know, saying that is gonna make them even come even harder at you. I didn't mind it, because I was like, I knew I literally, I went to Giant, Walmart, got my flour, sugar, head home, nothing. I mean, literally nothing. And I just waited, and like I said, when God intervened and was like, God is my witness. I met her where I met you at. I went to I'm a part of my alumni group with my high school, and we went to, it was an Identity Lounge, and they shut it down for a Monday night, and I'm there, and I'm chilling on the bar, kind of like this, and there was one girl who I always had my eye on, not in that way, but like, man, like she got it together, she fine.
Right.
And I was talking to one of my good friends, her name was Keisha. Keisha knows it. We were having a drink, talking or whatever, and I was like, yeah, girl. So I was like,
When you saw Danny,
and she was like, T, what's up? I'm like, I want to talk to her. I said, bartender, give me one more shot. One more shot. I worked my way around the bar. I ran into another classmate. He said, my wife been dying to meet you. You know, take a picture. I was like, all right, man. So my eye still on Danny.
Right.
I'm like, okay, picture. Walk up, and I walked straight up to Danny. We had never met, never corresponded, nothing. I said, Danny, it's nice to finally meet you. I said, what you here for? She said, I'm here for you.
That was God. Look at God. Okay? Look at God.
When I said I waited on God, she says, I'm here for you. Will you sit down? I sat down, and I said, I don't mean to rush off. I said, I got to do a little plug real quick, because I was bringing DTLR into the mix to, for their donation and stuff. I ran down the thing. I made an introduction and ran right back to Danny, and the rest is history.
All right, Erica, has it ever happened to you? Have you ever been built up, or have you ever built someone up, and how did it work out?
I am a self-made female that has some strong male influences, okay, but never built from scratch. And no, I've never had a relationship. I couldn't really see myself maybe in that type of relationship. I know a lot of good men that have that issue where they seem like they're kind of still trying to get the whole life thing together, and they usually end up being really good friends of mine.
Okay.
You know,
I get it.
That it's like, hey, if you had it together, maybe, you know what I mean? But no.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, you know what I do for a living,
Right.
So I was practicing that before I had my own practice. So I would move people in if they needed something or a place to live, and I caught myself being in this place where I needed to save everybody.
Yeah.
Because I had access to different things. So if they were struggling, my heart would allow them to stay. So I was building people, but because I was growing at the same time, I received a lot of sabotage. Like I've had women log into my blogs and pretend to be me, change my face to their face. I've had women call contacts and pretend to be me to see if the contact was, see if the conversation was genuine. And it wasn't, and I went through the same process that you went through when I had to say it, I need to sit back and spend time with God. And the person I was dealing with before, my wife, her insecurity made a referral. And when I say that was, I was sending emails for her, she was sending emails for me. These are just emails for speaking engagements.
Right.
So I had more contacts. And one day she was like, this is what a wife does. I'm no longer doing this. And I said, you just sent in 2 emails. So I'm like, all right. And then I think it was like the next week, I went on a speaking engagement. I had a panel, and I met my wife there, and that's what she does. Branding, PR, all that good stuff. And it was everything I needed. And at that particular time, I was still wrapped up in trying to find my way out of that situation.
Right.
So I didn't see her in the capacity that I see her now, but it was great. We were business. And I said to myself, I'm not dating until after my birthday. Abstinence, we practice abstinence our entire relationship.
Oh, that's awesome.
From the beginning to our wedding night.
I didn't go that far.
I think
I didn't go that
I'm a
far.
little tainted in that.
But I love it. I didn't go that far, but I love it.
But I've experienced that before, and I've been through so many different things, like on the way up building, that I just said, this is what I need to do. I need to have a clean situation.
Yeah.
So I had my YouTube that went kind of viral when I talked about why I was participating in abstinence. I was very transparent with things that I experienced. I said, I need to get back there. I need to connect with God because I want to have a wife, and I'm missing her. And while we were working together, I was missing her. I couldn't see her in that capacity.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a personal question? I can just tell by just, your discourse that, did she build you spiritually in a sense of like, I mean, most of us can be with someone, and we all know that we can grow together in certain areas that we didn't go before, whatever, but did she help you grow spiritually in a sense, like almost like from ground zero in that sense?
Ground zero.
No, I was.
I'm sorry, from scratch. I mean, what I'm saying, you said like you're saying you waiting, because a lot of times when I verbalize that, well, like I waited for someone spiritually, whatever. Like, what did she? No, I had a certain standard that I wanted, but sometimes guys are so broken in a certain sense that they are built from spiritually ground zero, and that's where the connection and y'all grow together.
And that's funny because I just posted about that on my Facebook. I was talking about I was already spiritually independent.
Yeah.
So with that strength and that relationship with God, I saw her relationship with God, and it complemented each other. I wasn't dependent on her prayers. They just felt good. And if I'm outside of somebody else that praying for me and it feels uncomfortable, I can end that prayer and be like, nah, you ain't the one I'm supposed to be praying with.
I feel you.
So yeah, it wasn't that she built me up. We complemented each other, and I felt her prayers in the innocence of them, in the genuineness of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have never been built up because I come from a long line of fiercely independent women, and my mother did not play that. Growing up, she would be like, you better not bring in anything into this house from a boy except some candies and a card. I don't need no boy buying you no clothes. I don't need no boy giving you no money. Whatever you need, I can provide. She was like, I'll provide all of your needs and most of your wants. Don't bring anything in here. So that is just instilled in me.
Yeah.
It does feel good when you have someone that is a provider, but I'm fiercely independent. So I've never had anyone build me from the ground up. And just because of how I'm made, my grandfather is my example of a man, and he was a provider, and he took care of his family with a 3rd grade education. He dropped out of school in the 3rd grade and took care of his family. Then he worked the railroads and like always had a side hustle, always did odd jobs. Like he was that dude. So it's unattractive to me when a man comes to me needing to be built from the ground up. That's something that I don't have any interest in. You don't have to be perfect because I am not perfect, but I need you to come to me with something. Although I've never built anyone up, I have always been that woman. I'm a truth teller. And a lot of times, a lot of men, not all, aren't able to process the truth immediately. Like it has to be planted, and it makes them upset, and then they go somewhere else and it grows like a seed, and then I'm the one who gets the call. Like, you know what? You were so right, and I thank you, and you're one of the great ones. That's what I always get.
Because we try to help our male friends.
I always get, you're one of the great ones, but I'm never the one because I told you what you needed to hear to get you to that point. So even though I've never built a man up, I am constantly preparing them for someone else by telling them what they need to hear, you know, and it gets a little frustrating.
Yeah, we try. We try to help our male friends out, I think. You know, they may not be for you, but we still try. We still love our men. We still love our kings and our brothers, and we still like want to help them out to get them right for someone else.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's funny you guys say that because I do know that I was brought up. I don't know how you look at it. It can be considered traditionally or non-traditional. My father adopted me in the era, I was 78, 79. It was so unheard of and so uncommon then. But he brought me on. In fact, he was so in on it. When he enrolled me into first grade, I didn't legally have his last name. He did it illegally just to let everybody know, like, I want this boy to be my son.
Right.
And he raised me to be his. And a lot of things he brought, I remember vivid conversations. I remember when Lynn Bias died.
Ooh, I remember
and he sat me down, he says, T, just promise me you'll never use cocaine. That conversation says, I will never use drugs.
Yeah.
But the one thing that stuck out more than anything was he told me this. He says, you know, when you lay down and however you say it, whether, you know, it's sex, fucking, making love or whatever, he says, when you're with a woman, that's between y'all two. It's a celebration. I was like, what do you mean by celebration? It took me years to realize it. He says, if you're laying down with a woman, you're celebrating y'all, whatever, it's y'all union, y'all relationship or whatever.
Your bond.
So if you're sitting around just having casual sex, sleeping with everything, what are you really celebrating? That you're a hoe? And that's why I've never, I'm in Baltimore. And you can find, you'll be hard pressed to find a bunch of women said I slept with T. Because I wasn't like that because of those conversations. So I really feel like a lot of the things that, the reason that men act a certain way, again, it always goes back to either the absentee father or the father that was, you know, a lot of men try to idolize their father. If their father was a hoe.
A bad example. Like they
I'm gonna be that, you know, but my father was just, even then, outside of Muhammad Ali, my father is always been my hero. Always. And a lot of the things, like I said, just stem from what he instilled in me at a young age. And he did, he went to drastic measures just to instill manhood in me. But I think a lot of these men today, they never had nothing instilled in them. And it's hard to say, but you know, my peers, we were products of the crack epidemic. So a lot of us are bastards of that. So how do they know love? How do they know show?
And we only have a few minutes left. I'm so upset, but we do have to end on time because my girl Erica Kane has to get to her interview session. Break it down. Go ahead, pitch yourself.
Yes, okay, so Author Series, I go live every Tuesday night. You can hit me at eKaneOfficial. That's IKANE_official. On Instagram, we go live in like just a couple of minutes. So,
all righty. E. Kane, all right, 9 o'clock. Don't miss that. But the final question that I want to close on is, I don't want to sound judgmental, but people have to do what works for them. And there are instances where people come to a relationship or come to a situation being built from the ground up and it works, okay? So it can be successful, but I do have to ask this question. Is it healthy, and I want you to start first, Beshea. Is it healthy to come to a relationship deplete? Is it healthy? Because to me, at some point, it just seems a little unhealthy to me. So correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right, definitely. Anytime you come into anything
broken,
broken, without lacking, and you have the mentality behind it, and you're looking to be built, you're looking for somebody else to save you, you're already up against the wall. So yeah, definitely, I agree. It's unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, there's the term equally yoked. I feel like if you're working at 100%, you'll attract that 100% energy to you. If you're running on fumes at just 35, somebody's going to see that openness, that weakness, and that's what you're going to bring your way. So, yeah.
I agree as well. As and one of the first conversations that Danny and I had, she said, "Are you broken?" She said, "I know about you. You're very transparent or whatever, but like, where are you at brokenly?" And I was like, "No, I took this year off to rebuild myself." And so I don't think it's fair to walk into any relationship, with broken pieces to break down someone else. So
And you don't have to be perfect, you know,
Right.
like if you're honest about what you're grappling with and struggling with and you're getting professional help, i.e. my man Beshea, all right?
how many minutes do we have?
We actually only have like 1 minute. So
I'm gonna keep it real quick. I met someone, they told me a long time ago, they like, T, you're that person that's broken down on the side of the road, and I never understood what they was talking about. And it was like, T, you was upset about the way that you were adopted. You were molested as a child. You went through, you know, multiple breakups, divorce or whatever. And I was like, what is your point? It was like, you're walking down the road and you got this big bag on your back, all this luggage. Let it go. They just start, you know, they would call me the bag boy. Start throwing out those pieces to make your bag lighter.
Pack light.
Pack
I
light.
like it. Pack light and make sure you come to the table with something, okay? Thank you so very much,
Thank you.
Tavares,
Thank you.
Erica,
Yes.
and Beshea. And thank you. Don't forget, we are here each and every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. And don't forget, a big, big thank you to Safari Nightclub. A big, big thank you to all of my producers. We have Uchenna, we have Brian, we have my man Tad, and we have Jason Rodriguez. All righty? Love you. See you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Good night. Mwah.
All right.
You got 1 minute to be live.
So we're gonna take one serious and then one just like having fun. Let me know when you're ready, Lieutenant.